I'm 68 years old, and I'm about to tell you how I spent 40 years getting revenge on the man who stole my life. And the beautiful part, he never knew it was happening until it was far too late. My name is Thomas, and this story begins when I was 28 years old, back in 1984. I was a junior architect at a prestigious firm in Chicago, talented, hungry, and stupid enough to trust the wrong person. That person was my mentor, Marcus Holloway. He was everything I wanted to be. Charismatic, successful, respected. He took me under his wing and promised me partnership within 5 years. Then I met Sarah. She was an interior designer, smart, beautiful. First woman who ever made me feel like I was more than just my career. We fell in love fast. Within 6 months, I was planning to propose. I told Marcus about my plans, showed him the ring I'd bought. He smiled, congratulated me, and said all the right things. 2 weeks later, I walked into the office early, and I saw them, Marcus and Sarah, in his office. The door wasn't completely closed, and I heard her laughing. That laugh I thought was reserved for me. I didn't confront them. I just stood there, frozen, as my entire world collapsed. Over the next month, I watched as Marcus pursued Sarah openly. He had money, status, connections, everything I was still working toward. And Sarah? She dropped me without explanation. 3 months later, they announced their engagement. I was devastated. But here's what made it worse. Marcus didn't just steal the woman I loved, he stole my designs. The revolutionary green building concept I'd been developing for 2 years. He presented it as his own. Won a massive contract, made partner. And when I confronted him, he looked me dead in the eye. He said, "You're young, Thomas. You'll have other ideas. Consider it a learning experience about how the real world works." I had 2 choices: fight him legally with no proof and no money, or walk away. I walked away. Took a job at a smaller firm across town. Everyone thought I'd given up, that I couldn't handle the competition. But I hadn't given up. I just started playing a different game. See, I realized something important. Marcus won because he was willing to be ruthless. He had no loyalty, no conscience. In the short term, that was his advantage. But in the long term, it was his fatal flaw. So I made a plan. Not for quick revenge, but perfect revenge. Step 1. Disappear from his radar. I kept my head down for 5 years, built a solid reputation, lived modestly, saved aggressively. During those 5 years, I learned everything about Marcus, his business practices, his clients, his weaknesses. I learned Marcus's success was built on stolen ideas, betrayed partners, and burned bridges. He was good at hiding it, but the pattern was there if you looked close enough. Step 2. Build my own empire, slowly. At 33, I started my own firm. Nothing flashy, just good, honest work. I didn't try to compete with Marcus directly. Instead, I focused on smaller projects he considered beneath him, with younger clients starting companies. I wasn't just designing buildings, I was building relationships. And I never burned a bridge. By my early 40s, something interesting started happening. Those small clients weren't small anymore. They'd grown into large corporations. And they remembered the architect who treated them with respect when they were nobody. They brought me bigger projects, referred me to their networks, And slowly, steadily, my firm grew. Marcus, meanwhile, was at his peak. His firm was one of the biggest in Chicago. He'd married Sarah, had 2 kids, lived in a mansion. On paper, he'd won completely. But cracks were forming. Step 3. Watch and wait. I heard through the grapevine that Marcus's marriage was struggling. He'd been having affairs for years. Several of his former associates started their own firms, taking clients with them. Marcus's reputation was slowly shifting from brilliant to difficult. I did nothing, just kept building. By my 50s, my firm was growing faster than his. We were winning awards, landing major projects. But Marcus still had the name recognition, the legacy. Then came the financial crisis of 2008. Marcus's firm
His
had
business
overextended.
partners were unhappy.
Too many big projects.
Turns out
too
Marcus
much
had a
debt,
habit of
too
taking
many
credit
burned
for their
bridges.
work too.
When the economy crashed, clients disappeared, partners left. Suddenly at 62, Marcus was in trouble. My firm? We'd stayed conservative. Strong client relationships meant loyalty even in hard times. We took a hit, sure, but we survived. Step 4. The move. In 2010, Marcus's firm was struggling. He'd lost 3 major clients and 2 senior partners. I simply made strategic decisions that happened to intersect with his business. I hired away his best young architect, someone Marcus had been mentoring, promising partnership to. It's sound familiar? Except I actually followed through, made him a partner within 3 years. I bid on several projects Marcus desperately needed, and because my reputation was built on integrity, I won them. That's when I made my move. I didn't try to destroy him. I didn't have to. I reached out to several architects Marcus had burned over the years, brought them into my firm, gave them the respect they deserved. Nothing illegal, nothing unethical, just good business. By 2015, my firm had surpassed his in revenue. By 2018, we'd surpassed him in reputation. Marcus was 6'8". His firm was a shadow of what it once was. His marriage had ended in ugly divorce. His children barely spoke to him. His legacy was tarnished. And me? I was exactly where I'd planned to be. Step 5. The final move. Last year, Marcus's firm finally went under. Bankruptcy. Everything he'd built over 40 years, gone. I heard he was looking for a job. At 6'7", starting over. So I did something Marcus would never have expected. I offered him a position at my firm. Not as a partner, not as anything prestigious. As a senior consultant, good salary, but no power, no glory. He came to my office for the interview. The first time we'd been in a room together in almost 40 years. He looked old, tired, broken. And he didn't even recognize me at first. He looked old, tired, broken. And he didn't even recognize me at first. When I reminded him who I was, I watched the realization dawn on his face. The young architect he'd betrayed, the one whose designs he'd stolen, the one whose girl he'd taken. "Thomas," he said quietly, "I didn't know this was your firm." "I know," I said. "That's the point." Then he asked the question I'd been waiting 40 years to hear. "Why are you offering me this job?" I looked at him and told him the truth. Because 40 years ago, you taught me a valuable lesson. You taught me that ruthlessness wins in the short term, that loyalty is weakness, that people are just resources. He nodded slowly, looking down. But you were wrong about one thing, I continued. You thought those lessons would help you build a legacy. Instead, they destroyed everything you touched. Your business, your marriage, your relationships with your children. You won every battle and lost the war. I slid the job offer across the desk. I'm offering you this position because I want you to see the alternative. A company built on respect, partnerships that last, a legacy that means something beyond just your name on a building. And because the best revenge isn't destroying you, it's succeeding where you failed, using the principles you mocked. Marcus took the job. He's been working here for 8 months now. Good employee, does his work, keeps his head down. The way younger architects get real mentorship, not empty promises. The way partnerships are based on mutual respect. I think he's starting to understand what he could have had if he'd been a different kind of person. But here's the thing about revenge, the real thing, not the fantasy version. It doesn't feel like I thought it would. I spent 40 years building this, 40 years waiting, and yes, I won.